Last time I had this thing apart, I replaced these U-joints. Like I said, that was about 10 years ago, and they still look like they're in pretty good shape. Nice and tight, no looseness in there. So we'll let those stay. Got to be careful not to hit that surface right there too much with the wire, because that's where the bearing rides. All right, that side's cleaned up. Now, when I put that primer on there, it's still a little bit tacky, so I'm hoping that when that primer finishes drying, it'll kind of act as a little bit of adhesive to hold that on. Just a little touch up here. Can't always have the right tool. Okay, well, it's on. As you can see, it's just short of flush with the flange on the stub shaft. Now, I had made this little saddle for, well, when I did the other side, the driver's side, I didn't install this prior to installing it in the truck. I did it afterwards. But the result is the same. So that was that's got a hole drilled in the center of it on the top board, and the second board is solid. So I used a variety of round objects: cylinder, safety cap, piece of drill pipe with the female end still attached to it, a pin from the tractor, and a hammer, and I was able to massage this thing on. Oh, and a BFH. If you need me to tell you what that is, ask me in the comments and I'll PM you the answer. But it's on. Now the second part will be easier to put on, because this piece of PVC pipe fits pretty damn tight on that, and that board down on the bottom goes across the top of it up here, and then you just drift it right into place. So it's on. All right, so before I do, I cleaned all this up and inspected these splines. They're in really good condition. And like I said, this seal right here prevents debris from getting into the differential housing, the axle housing. It holds no liquids or fluids or vacuum, or doesn't do anything except keep debris from going into the axle. This whole shaft is dry until you get right here. There's a seal and a bearing on the inside of the pumpkin on this front differential. I'm going to clean up that little bit of rust right there, and that's what supports it on the inside, and the only thing that holds it on the outside is that spindle. It's kind of an ingenious design, but it's got some inherent flaws in it. So I'm going to clean this up and get ready to install it. All right, I got my inspector here. She just found out what the electric fence is all about, huh? Yeah, you did, huh? Shook you up a little bit. Well, hopefully you learned your lesson. It's our little Belgian Malinois mix. She's our little snuggle bug. All right, I'm going to get the axle and install it. I greased up the knuckle. I'm using grease to kind of help that seal slide into place. That rubber seal is going to give it plenty of seal, so I don't really need to put any gasket adhesive or anything like that. That just makes it harder to put in because it's sticky. The easier you make it to go in, the easier your life is going to be. So let me go get that axle and we'll get her put in. All right, watch out, Sammy. Good girl. You hold this end, I'll get the other end. All right, so let me take a minute here to talk about good customer service. I bought this hub from O'Reilly, and as I said in previous segments, it was a struggle to get the correct size, but the guys at O'Reilly really stuck with it, and they were able to find me the correct part. It wasn't the one that I wanted as far as the warranty goes. The precision built one had a better warranty, and it was made in America. The Master Pro that I ended up getting, because that's the only one they really had in stock or could get me, has a 1-year warranty. It's made in China. And also, it did not come with the studs. Now these studs are very... All right, I talked to you guys about checking this vacuum fitting here. Checking it before you put the spindle on. Well, I did. Pulled the hose off and looked inside of it. And now it's clean. It's got a little grease on it right now, but that nipple was completely clogged with rusty, gunky stuff. So had I put this all back together and never looked in there, yes, I could take this off after I put everything back together, but it's a lot easier now. But I've ran a wire through it, cleaned it all out, wire brushed everything, applied some grease to it to prevent it from corroding, and put it back in. Now I'm putting the spindle back in. I've got a little bit of a gap right here. Oop, where am I? Right there. So there's a seal in there. I don't know if you can see it. Where am I at here? Right there. There's a little yellow, you can just barely see it in there. But I've got to compress that to get this thing into the knuckle. So I'm in the process of doing that right now. Hopefully I can draw that thing up and get the nuts started on the studs, tighten it up, and complete the installation. Sometimes you just need a little persuasion. Let's see if we can get this thing in there. BFH works every time. All right, now that we've got the spindle on, what did I tell you? Don't forget the brake shield. I got to take it all back apart again, put the brake shield back on. All right. If I can do this without committing any more sins. And yes, you can install the brake shield backwards too, but I've got it on there correct. So now I'm gonna draw this back down with the nuts, and I'll see you for the brake installation. All right, now the brake shield's installed, spindle's on, all my parts and pieces are still in there. Now I got to put the brake bracket on. Again, using my Nippic snap ring pliers, made in Germany. Good stuff, made in Germany, guys. You know, I got a pretty sizable gap in there. But you know, I know that that goes in first and then these, because I pulled those hubs off many times and got these with it. So all right, I've rebuilt this, repacked it. Still got the old bearing in it. Now remember, that stub shaft, I might have to jiggle this around a little bit to get all the splines aligned. There it goes. Just like that. And the old snap ring theft deterrent device. All right, after examining my job, I wasn't quite ready to put the wheel back on yet. I had to put that cotter pin in the one of the steering linkages that you can't see, and that's done now. So get the old tire iron out again and try to get this thing lined up with the hole over here. All right, wiggle it in place, and there she goes. All right, put this on, tighten it up, find something resembling a cotter pin. Good thing about owning a wrench is there's always something around, laying around, that you can use. In this case, I'll just use a fence clip. It'll be just as good. All right, I'll come back and this will be done and be ready to put the tire on. All right, that's what it looks like when it's done. All right, so the spindle replacement on the passenger side of the truck is now completed. Not without some drama. The stud's not coming out of the old one. The guys at O'Reilly really stepping up, and really they saved my bacon on this one. Hats off to those guys, Elijah and Anthony, and the driver, I can't remember his name, but those guys really stepped up. I really appreciate everything they did for me today, because without them, I would have never gotten this done today.